All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is when you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. So yesterday, I went to go see Dr. Umar Ifatunde here in Atlanta at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. And it was in commemoration of Marcus Garvey's birthday. Fantastic festival. I had a super good time. And I was really thrilled by listening to the good brother speak, and as well as interact with the people, as he did so. And so what I came away from the situation, or from the experience with, was an importance or a need to understand and define the importance of what Dr. Umar Ifatunde is doing and the significance of his contribution to our community. And a lot of people get it. There's a lot of people who get it. A lot of folks understand right off the bat, the difference between what he's doing and, the overwhelming majority of the conscious speakers, teachers, etc. Okay. And I want you, especially the Orisa devotees, I really, 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 really know beyond a shadow of a doubt that as you're able to wrap your mind around what the brother is actually doing, is going to give you a much better understanding of what Orisa is truly about and the ways in which you can deepen your practice based on the model and the approach that Dr. Umar is taking. Right now, a lot of people get totally confused and thrown off because you're stuck on personality. And in addition to being stuck on personality, you get limited by popular, the word on the street, so to speak. Right. So you see Dr. Umar's personality, and then it affects you a certain way. And you go from there to what the general consensus of the people in your environment seem to say and what their feeling seems to be about him. And then based on that, you carry on with your opinion of who he is and what it means. Right. And this is generally how people are making their decisions. This is generally how people are formulating what they're going to gravitate towards or what they're going to stay away from. All right. Now, the difficulty that we have right now, just to be completely honest, is that as African Americans, you have been conditioned. We have been conditioned, and we have been conditioned to be subservient. We have been conditioned to be consumers. We have been conditioned to be passive learners, passive actors, right? Passive aggressive, right? And that is what is normal to us. And so because we're talking about programming, because we're talking about conditioning, there's an unconscious reaction to certain stimulus. So when you come in contact with anything and anybody that is calling you into self-efficacy, anything that is conjuring within you the understanding and the need to act, to be autonomous and sovereign, as soon as you hear the logic of self-efficacy, your conditioning kicks in and you get defensive. You get scared. You somehow in the back of your mind start thinking, ooh, but I'm gonna get in trouble. Ooh, what's the white man gonna say? Ooh, what are they gonna say? What about my job? You get scared, right? And I don't mean this to diss anybody. I just mean, this is what I know as an educator. We've been programmed. We've been conditioned. And so it is inevitable that you're going to respond that way. You're going to react that way. I won't call it a response. It's a reaction. A reaction in the sense that you're not choosing that response. It's been programmed like a computer. If this, then that. If someone presents you with real pathways to freedom, then you react with suspicion, you react with denigration, you react with fear. That is the program. So you got to observe that program in order to assess it and then start to choose actual responses that are true to your essence and your true vision of who you are. And this is essential, like I said, for Orisa devotees. Ifa is all about this. This is the essence and the truth of what Ifa is. In the sense that Ifa is going to give you a message. You go to get a consultation. Ifa says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it's up to you to decide, oh yeah, that verse pertains to me. Yes, those observances, those pertain to me. And then you have to decide when the moment presents itself that you got to make a decision to do one thing and not do something else. You have to actively make that choice to do what Ifa advised you to do. If you can't do that, then you're going to get, mediocre outcomes or even worse. So all this pertains to what Dr. Ifatunde is saying and doing, because what he is prescribing for our community is action, but it's action in a particular sector of life, right? He really is speaking to a very specific area of life. And you can see in his book, it's the Black Parent Advocate. So truly what he's advising people on is how to take care of your greatest resource, which is your child. How do you create an environment that's most conducive to your child's growth, development, and manifestation of his or her destiny? So when the brother took to the stage, he spoke about an hour, and I would say 35 minutes of that talk, if not more, 35, maybe 40 minutes of it was all about parenting school-age children. He went into all of the best practices associated with making sure that your child is a good learner. From preschool all the way up to high school. He went into a fair amount of detail about how you as a parent can engage with and engage with the educational system and advocate for what's really good for your child within that system. He talked about in pretty explicit details the necessity for parents to communicate and set certain kinds of boundaries and discipline and rewards and systems and structures for their child to become a responsible adult. Right? This is a good, at least 35 minutes of the talk was about parenting school-age children, special education and otherwise, right? Then he contextualized that conversation with the big picture, looking at the historical, political, economic context for what he's talking about. But at the root of it, what Dr. Umar is talking about is this is what we need to do to create an environment that is best for our children's development, right? We're not used to that, right? We're not used to that. We don't want to accept that that's what it boils down to. We want to minimize that simple fact of the matter, and instead focus on how we feel about what he said, or we want to, people overemphasize and get overly obsessed with what other people are saying, right? And it's interesting to note that on a certain level, in our discomfort and listening to what the brother is saying, at least in the cyber world, you'll see people who they want to, make a caricature of Dr. Umar, and the caricature of him is, what you see in some of the memes and stuff like that. But on the ground, in the place, you can see the people whose lives are being improved by his teachings and his advice. Right? There was I think they were a family, and there was a couple of these young brothers. Well, I don't know how young they were, but they were clearly, developmentally disabled, right? They were somewhere on the spectrum of, Down syndrome or something like that. But they were there, and I watched them during the lecture, and then I watched them come up with the maybe there was a brother who was working with them or something, but they all came up and they took photos with him, and there were families with school-age children. They all came up to take photos with him. I talked to a couple of brothers who had, grappled with their own mental health conditions, and it was very telling. It was very, very telling. Not only that, there were members of the Orisa community there. I saw plenty of Orisa devotees. There were people from the Nation of Islam there. There were plenty of straight ahead RBG folks who were there. And it was great to hear Dr. Umar talk about, how what Garvey brought to the community was, a practical movement. It wasn't about a religion. It's about practical solutions to our problems. And so you can see that represented also in the audience. And so this is really, it's about people who are in our community, who love our community, and want to be well informed and educated about who we are in space and time, but are also ready to grapple with and address real solutions to real problems, explicitly problems with raising, educating, preparing our children for excellence. So if you have children or nieces and nephews or grandchildren, or you just are concerned about the young people in your community, in our community, and you want to see them flourish, then you really need to pay close attention to what Dr. Umar is saying, right? Now, even beyond that, however, what I want you to understand as an Orisa devotee is that each Orisha works. The Orisha are the Orisha not because they pontificate. The Orisha are venerated and celebrated all over the world, not because they are eloquent, right? Even Orunmila, who is the most well-spoken of all the Orisha, Orunmila's claim to fame is not just that he's an eloquent speaker. It's that Orunmila provides real solutions to every imaginable problem. Orunmila is going to tell you what to do. So all of his speech and his endless, grasp of words and ability to explain and define and orchestrate, what Orunmila really is known for is that what he is saying is going to help you solve your money problem. It's going to help you solve your marital problem. It's going to help you solve your health problem. It's going to help you solve your military problem, your leadership problem. That's why Oromila is venerated. But apart from that, every Orisha works. Shango, Ogun, Obatala, Obaluaye, Oshun, Yemoja, Olokun. Each of them has a trade. Each of them activates something in the community that's vital. And so that is representative of what you truly aspire to. Why you really love the divinities is because they remind you that you have an indwelling spirit that manifests in this space and time because you're the solution to some problem. And the only way you're going to actualize that solution is through doing. You may not do what I do, and you may not do what the next person does, but it's essential that you do know what you do. If you paint, if you drive, if you sing, if you write, if you teach, if you build, whatever it is that you do, you need to do it with the intent to solve Black people's problems. That is it. And then as you do it, you combine that activity with understanding. You combine it with wisdom. You contextualize all of your actions as no matter how focused and granular you are in what you do, it becomes valuable and eternal by your ability to do it with the big picture in mind. And this is what we see with Dr. Umar. He is an educator, and he also understands the global picture. So you might be an accountant. You might be a fireman. You might be an entrepreneur. Do what you do for the community, but then liberalize what you do, your actions, by understanding history, understanding global economics, understanding philosophy. Okay, this is what distinguishes Dr. Umar from the overwhelming majority of the people who are put in front of you today. Not that those other folks aren't valuable, they are. But the limit of what they're telling you is that it is purely theory, it is purely ideas. It never translates into what you need to do next. I shouldn't say it never does, but that's not the trend, right? That's not the trend. We're overly attracted to the ideas and the conceptual, right? And I think where a lot of people are quite honestly just afraid is because what Dr. Umar is talking about is very tangible and is very practical, right? So to remedy that, I just want to urge you to get in tune with your natural gifts and talents. Really sit down with yourself and examine, what do you do? What do people come to you for? How do you show up in the world in such a way that the people around you are drawn to you? They'll go the extra mile to do it with you. They'll go the extra mile to get your insights into how to do it better. What are your natural gifts and talents? What comes to you naturally, easily? Things that nobody has to tell you. No one has to coerce you to do. It just is a part of who you are. How do you acquire the skills, hone those skills, get the equipment, the tools that are associated with what you do? And then, who exactly do you serve? In Dr. Umar's case, he's serving parents of school-age children, especially who are being caught up in the special education, rat race, rigmarole, the hustle. You see what I'm saying? He's got a specific group of people that he serves. Everyone else benefits from what he knows, but the people who he serves is a very particular group. You need to get clear about who you serve. And as you talk to the people who you serve, everybody else who can understand and appreciate the wisdom that you bring, they're going to come. You're not going to isolate or alienate anybody who really wants to learn and grow and be transformed. So don't be afraid to identify who you serve and put all of your efforts into helping these folks go from good to great every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year. All right. And of course, you know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the leaders. I'm talking to the brothers and the sisters, wherever you are, who want to improve the world through positive influence. If that's you, I want you to visit me at obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com. Get involved. Let's start working together to help you live the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you're destined to serve. I look forward to working with you. Bye for now. Odabo.